Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2023 and a brand new experiment today where we're taking a look at what would happen if you gave a non-league team the perfect facilities. So what we're going to do is take St Albans City here and we're just going to make a few little changes. You can see at the moment St Albans down in the Vanarama National League South. They've got a cool little old school crest on them, some nice looking kits. But otherwise not too much going for them. If we have a look at their general information quickly, you can see they've been promoted and relegated and promoted again, but they are generally in the Vanarama National Regional Leagues rather than up in the National League, which they've only done one time and were immediately relegated in bottom position. So what we're going to do is just change a few things, like, for example, improving their club attendance to 150,000 people, which I think will do quite a bit to boost the gate receipts. We're also going to leave their reputation where it is. We want them to develop over time. We'll also leave their financial situation the same, except for we are going to give them an underwriter sugar daddy. The reason for that I'll explain in just a moment, but we're also going to give them perfect capacity here, which if we go just here and make 150,000, this will certainly improve their gate receipts. And then we're also going to improve the stadium condition by dropping that to 0. You can see on the little note there, the worst the condition is 100, the best condition is 0. Then we'll give them a roof, undersoil heating, and of course we're going to give them the best facilities in the entire game, including the best youth recruitment in the entire game. And these corporate facilities at 20 will make an enormous difference to the club. Now, the reason I've given them the underwriter is that the upkeep on facilities like this is crazy, and given that they only have, if we have a look at their finances again, they only have 175 grand in the bank, they would very quickly go bankrupt. So we need to make sure that they can sustain the amount of money they need in order to pay their bills. But hopefully with 150,000 fans coming in every week, paying an average of £16 a ticket, that's at least, what is that? That's about £2.25 million every home game that they should be bringing in through the gate. So I think they'll probably be all right, to be honest, in terms of money. But the underwriter will just guarantee nothing goes wrong. And that's it. That's all we're going to do. We're going to leave them completely alone from then on. And we're just going to go really far into the future and see if they can make it up the Football League. So drop a like down below and comment where you think they can get to with these facilities. And let's go forward probably 5 years in time and see if they've managed to get out of the Vanarama National League South. Well, we are 5 years into the future, and you can see that they have managed to get out the Vanarama National League. The first season, they actually finished in 17th before then finishing second. It is a really difficult league to get out of. You do basically have to win it, which they did the following season. And since then, they have finished 4th twice in a row. Now, at the moment it says 23rd, but that looks like it is just the alphabet talking there. But they haven't really gone on too well. If we have a quick look at their facilities, you can see they've still got everything done absolutely perfectly. They also have a 10-year sponsorship deal for just 150k a year. That's a steal for whatever brand has done that. And for some reason, they're due to move to the 140,000 capacity Philwood Arena on the 22nd of June 2030. I don't know why. I don't know if 150,000 all-seater stadium is too big, but I have absolutely no idea why they would make that change. Maybe you guys in the comments know why they're going to be making that change. But if we have a look at their transfer history over the last few years, you can see 43k brought in, 41k, more money going out that year, jumped up to 120k, 300k, 450k. They do have a little bit more spending money. Their reputation's gone up quite a bit as well. The attendance is still there, but you can see in the finances they're actually doing absolutely brilliantly. They've now got a £100 million bank balance in there and a huge transfer budget, a huge wage budget. The stadium sponsor is in there now as a bit of extra income, but not much other money coming in because they still need their reputation to go up in order to attract the sponsors. But you can see that funding has been scaled down by the chairman as well. They lowered their youth category and they are due to move to their new stadium in 2030. I don't know why they're moving to a new stadium. That's quite odd, but maybe it is to do with the capacity of the stadium. But 140,000, I think they'll probably still be okay. But they haven't moved as far up the table as I thought, but they are starting to ramp up their financial power now. So let's go another 5 years forward and see if they're in the Football League. We're another 5 years forward, and you can see after their 2 fourth place finishes, they did eventually win the Vanarama National League, and then in their first season in League 2 they finished 5th before then coming in 2nd place and getting automatic promotion into League 1, where they did finish in 3rd place, but then dropped off a little bit and finished in 11th. So that's a shame that they weren't able to go up through the playoffs there into the Championship, but I imagine if they finished 11th the year after, they probably didn't stick around for too much longer in there. Now, if we have a look at their transfer history over the last few years, you can see they've gone up to 250k, but not a huge amount of money before finally spending 2 million. Their first £1 million player coming in from MK Dons, £4 million spent the next year, then 1.3 with 5.5 million going out of the club. So they're still all about balancing the books, to be honest. If we have a look here at their general information, you can see they've got a few players worth a decent hunk of money now. The wages as well are far too high for League One, I think. I mean, that feels too high for me. Let's have a look at maybe Wimbledon that are in and around this area quite a lot. If we look at their squad, yeah, massively too high. They're paying a fortune in wages. This always seems to happen. They don't spend money on transfers, they spend money on wages. And for example, Kane Wilson here joined from Wigan. He actually went up a league when he joined them, and yet he's on this enormous salary. Costs him 1.8 million, and he's on 32 grand a week. Sam Grey Goose here, where did he come from? He came from Fulham, dropped down one league and got a massive pay rise. So they are not being very good with their spending, it would seem. If we have a little look at their landmarks over the last few years, you can see got promoted. FA Trophy winners is very nice. The chairman did leave and a new one came in, and that new chairman withdrew their funding before they did move to the Phil Wood Arena. I just don't understand why they've done that, to be honest, but there we go. If we have a look at their facilities here, you can see 140,000, still an all-seater stadium, plenty of capacity in there. If we have a look at their finances as well, you can see that reputation's jumped up by about 2,000 since we started. And they've got £262 million in the bank. They've also got a transfer budget of £134 million, even though their income hasn't changed much, and their debt has not come on the picture either. So they're clearly raking in the cash, but they are not spending it except for throwing a little bit of money at player wages. But yeah, definitely not really firing up the league the way they maybe should be, and disappointing that their transfers aren't a bit more extravagant as well. But let's maybe go 10 years forward now and see if they're into the Premier League with this rapid growth that they've managed to get so far. 10 years further in now, and you can see that they did eventually manage to make it up into the Championship. They finished 11th when we left off, then 7th, and then they finished as runners-up. First season in the Championship, 12th place, but then a little decline as they ultimately got relegated back into League One. And they had 3 seasons there before coming back up as runners-up once more. So hard to say they've really progressed much in the last 10 years, floating around League One and the Championship. They have had a few years in the Championship now, but spending most of the decade in League One, despite all of the advantages that they have as a club. Now, if we just have a look at their landmarks here, we left off 2032, Papa John's Trophy runners-up. Not a huge amount happening here except for changing as captains. They had a failed takeover bid, which maybe wouldn't have helped. But they're a club with plenty of attractive qualities. You can see the quality of their youth and training facilities has dropped a little bit now from superb down to excellent, but the club and the stadium is still absolutely fine. And they're also bringing in now £35 a ticket, which on 100,000 tickets is about 3.5 to, well, it must be nearly 5 million a game if they're still selling out the stadium, which is not bad going. If we look at their transfer history since last time out when they spent 1.4 million, it is just eking up, and then other years not. And then £61 million spent. That must have been when they got into the Championship. What an enormous amount of money that is to spend. I assume that met with a bit of restraint, but no, 36 million the next season, then 46 million, then 7 million, 7 million, 6 million, 4 million as they went back down into League One. But then in the Championship again, £53 million spent, including Jerome Frederick here, who cost nearly 40 million from Peterborough in the Championship, and he doesn't seem like that good a player in the Championship either. And if we look at the senior squad wages here, you can see they are creeping up. There's a lot more depth in the squad in the amount of wages that they're on, I assume. I mean, this squad is enormous. That's not even the under 18 squad, that's just the senior squad. And they've got all this baggage of players eating up their wage bill week after week because they just keep throwing money at them. And now they've started to do it in the transfers as well, which is a little bit concerning that that's what they're doing. But this guy here, capped at under 19 level for England, not worth a lot of money, but he's on 60 grand a week at St Albans. Joined them on a free from Norwich in the Championship, and he was a good player at Norwich, but that feels a little bit extravagant to me. If we just have a look at the club details, you can see the reputation has jumped up, so they're still attracting more and more players, but that attendance has really dropped now. The maximum club attendance is now breaching the limit. It's up to 190,000 for some reason, but the club attendance is around 67,000, so a half-filled stadium. They still got loads of cash in the bank, a little bit more income coming in through stadium sponsorship, and then no debt or loans still. And you can see they've got all kinds of transfer clauses going. Their facilities, though, still pretty decent. Stadium is still in near perfect condition. It does have some expansion capacity. I don't know what that means, if they could increase it to 240,000. But you can see the training and youth facilities have dropped off, and this new stadium does not have a roof. Now, that could be why they built a new stadium, if you're not allowed roofs in any of these league structures, but that seems like a pretty strange rule. But at the moment, they are still on an upward tick. They've been on the decline for a few years, but I think they might well come back up now they've got the Championship money again back in the Championship as well. So let's maybe just go forward about 10-15 years and see if they can finally break into the Premier League. Much further forward now, we're in the year 2056, so we've gone 34 years forward since they took on this amazing stadium, and you can see they have done much better in the last decade or so as they came out of League One into the Championship, finished 20th and 19th to secure their safety, and then jumped up to 6th, then trotting around a little bit near the top of the table, and then first in the Championship, winning their biggest trophy so far before immediately getting relegated in 20th, then 8th place, back up to the Premier League as champions again, but struggling to maintain their position in the Premier League as they drop down again and have been yo-yoing in and out of the Premier League ever since. That feels like the real test is, can they establish themselves in the Premier League? The other thing, obviously, is that when you get to the Premier League, gate receipts are not your primary source of income, and unless you've got massive sponsorship or other things coming in, you are going to struggle to stay there. And if we have a look at their landmarks over the last 14 years or so, lots of captain changes, winning the Premier League, winning the Championship. It'd be amazing if they won the Premier League. They did upgrade their youth and training facilities, another change in ownership, but not too much else changing along the way there. If we have a look again at where we left off last time, they'd started to spend a huge amount of money, and you can see 40s, then 127 million, 27 million on one player, 106 million that season as well, not breaking their record at that point, but plenty of money being doshed out by the club. They're clearly finally opening the taps up. If we have a look at their senior squad and their wages, still nothing crazy in there. They're not even got a player on 100 grand a week, so that at least that seems to have settled a little bit now that we're at Premier League level. This their new player brought in from Leeds for 28 million. Not surprising, he's on 100 grand a week. But St Albans at the moment, not really the kind of club that look like they're going to move on, and they're looking for another stadium. Why on earth would they move to another stadium? That is crazy. Dropping the capacity by about 3,000 again in moving to a new stadium. I don't understand why they would do that. You can see the reputation up at 7,000, still 2,000 below the likes of Manchester City and others, but the club attendance pretty stable, just gone up from 75 to around 80,000. They still got loads of cash in the bank, 42 million. Their income, though, has gone up a lot through sponsorship, new money coming into the club, and still no debt either. But the stadium's still in perfect condition, so I do not understand why they're looking for a new stadium. Maybe because the surface is clay? Is that the problem? Why have they got clay surface in the Premier League? What on earth is going on there? Was that the case before? Or is that because they're ripping up the pitch? Who knows? It is the summer. Maybe they've ripped up the pitch. But that is a little bit strange. You can see, though, now they have managed to get a couple of championship titles. Nothing really in the landmarks. We can look at their records and other things here. Best 11 doesn't mean much to us at this point, but it's a bit of a shame they haven't been able to kick on into the Premier League. We've been going for quite a while now, and it looks like they've hit that wall, which is where you need that sponsorship money, you need your reputation to increase, and at the moment they're just bouncing from stadium to stadium, which is a bit unusual. Theories in the comments down below as to why they keep on switching stadiums. It says the surface is grassy, so it must be because they're relaying the pitch. But only 581 season ticket holders as well. But yeah, let me know down below if you've got theories on why they're bouncing around. Let me know as well if you think that they would make it to the top of the Premier League if we gave them a bit more time. But do drop a like down there if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more experiments like this. But until next time, see ya.